Welcome to Harness the Shift, the podcast where I spotlight souls shaping a new humanity. I am Jay, a neurosomatic strategist bringing lived experience and practical insight to help listeners see new perspectives and navigate their own paths. I interview leaders, entrepreneurs, and co-creators and change makers, those who have stepped into their healing journeys and are sharing their experiences and perspectives to inspire others on their path of self-discovery and transformation. During these conversations, my guests share how you can connect with them, and all their details are in the podcast description. Now let's take a moment to meet our guests for today.
People talk about self-care and like, oh, you've got to fill your cup, right? You got to take care of yourself, fill your cup because you can't pour from an empty cup. But
True.
I have the idea that there's a second cup. And the second cup is the one that the world is pouring into. And every challenge that you have is pouring into that cup. This is how much capacity you have. And if you don't empty that, then one little drop is going to start it spilling over. And when you have big things happen, they start filling that capacity really fast. But the little annoyances, the little stresses of every day, they take some of that capacity too. And I feel like the work that I do is helping people to empty that cup. So that you have more capacity to handle the situations that will inevitably arise in life.
Welcome back to Harness the Shift. I'm Jay, your neurosomatic strategist and your host, where we move from awareness into embodied and aligned action. And today's conversation with Lesley Christine, a certified meta psychology coach, healing mentor, a guide for women navigating midlife transformation. Lesley's work centers on helping high-achieving women release accumulated stress, dismantle internal pressure, and reclaim clarity and direction in this next chapter of life. In this episode, we explore the emotional architecture beneath burnout, identity shifts in midlife, and what it truly means to master the inner game so your outer life reflects alignment rather than obligation. This is a grounded, honest dialogue about responsibility, healing, and conscious evolution. So sit back and let's step in. Beautiful souls, thank you for joining us today on Harness the Shift. Help me welcome our guest, Lesley Christine from Northwest Arkansas. Hello, Lesley. How have you been since I seen you last?
I'm doing good. Doing very good.
Good. You were just saying the weather's awesome there right now.
Oh, yeah. It's like a spring day right now. And we've got the daffodils starting to come up. So we're feeling spring big time here.
That's wild. You know, they're coming up here too. So it's like, New Year. It's great.
Oh, yeah.
It's a good thing. It feels good. It feels good.
It does.
It's like a new beginning. So, Lesley, you're a meta psychology coach and an energy healer. And your work centers around deep transformation and emotional integration. What was the personal turning point in your own life that initiated you into this work?
So I was always really interested in this kind of work, but didn't have any kind of background with it. And I got to a point, we had gone through some really major stuff, some big, hard things. And I would say, if only I didn't work this corporate job that I dislike so much, then I would be happy. If only I could travel full time with my family, then I would be happy. And we got to a place where we had all of those things. And I was like, oh, these are all the things that I was like, oh, if only this, then I'll be happy.
Yeah.
But something is still not quite right. I'm still feeling kind of off about things. And that's when I met someone. Those people show up at just the right time, don't they?
They sure
And I
do.
met someone that was doing emotional clearing work. And I was like, there's something about it just really pulled me in, and I was fascinated, and I started researching it and studying it and playing with it and just trying it out for myself. And I started to feel like I got my smile back and my laugh, and things started to feel a lot easier. And I felt like my family was getting along better. And I was like, I don't know what's going on, but this is working. And then I was really like fully in at that point in time. I was like, I got to see if I can do this for other people too. I love it. And I just kept wanting to go deeper and deeper and deeper. So I just kept looking at different kinds of books and learning different kinds of things and playing and exploring from there. But it came from me needing the work for myself.
Yeah. And then you were open. It sounds like you were open, and it also sounds like you were inquisitive, right? Like curiosity, which is
Yeah.
what it is all about, is to be curious, and you never know what can transpire from that, right?
Yeah, you just got to follow those breadcrumbs, like
Yeah.
the whatever sparks your curiosity, follow that. It'll lead you to something else. You follow that. And I just kept going deeper and learning more things and finding new techniques and playing with them on my own and trying them out and see what I thought. And eventually something came from all that.
That's amazing. So, in your experience, what do most people misunderstand about healing and transformation?
I think a lot of people are missing the emotional piece, that they're not recognizing that there's things from the past. I mean, I think that people know that there's stuff from the past that is unhealed. But one of the things I found the most interesting about it is not just from me,
Hmm.
that I've inherited things from my parents, so that I sometimes I can look back to my past and maybe the thing that is really bothering me wasn't something that happened to me. It might be that something passed down from my grandparents. My grandparents they became adults during the Great Depression and went through World War II when they were really young. So there's a lot that comes through that, right? And if we look back at human history, it has not been an easy go for most people. So it makes sense that we would be passing things down from generation to generation. And I think there's a lot of us here right now that are ready to break those cycles.
Yes, yes. The waymakers are definitely stepping up and breaking chains. Really is. It's collectively, it's an awesome time to just see, because so many people are they're getting in alignment, and they're doing the work. And it's like, really, that to me, like, I love that. I love that when I think it's such a brave move, right? When you put yourself first and just heal all of that. I think you can be the best version of yourself, which is amazing, to be the best version of yourself. And then you serve as an example.
Well, and also if you have kids, you're shifting the patterns for your family
Sure
from
are.
from you on down the line. And sometimes I'm able to release things from people that are from their grandparents, that are from sometimes many generations back. And my intention is always that we're releasing it like from the whole line, that it literally is releasing for people even if they have passed on. That the whole energy of it all is just releasing for everyone that it was
Yeah.
connected to.
And it's rewarding. It really is. So when you work with women navigating big life transitions, so what is that inner restlessness that so many of us feel in midlife, right? What is it really signaling?
I was going through this training recently with a coach that was talking a lot about the masculine and the feminine, which isn't something I always talk a whole lot about, but he brought something up that I was like, this is what it is actually. And it's that women go through these different cycles. We go through being like the maiden and then the mother, and then we move on to the next stage. But when you are being the mother, you are giving. You are giving so much, and it's whether you're actually a mother or not. I think women go through a stage where there is just a lot of care for other people and, giving to other people. And then we move on from that but we've been giving so much for so long that we haven't necessarily been paying attention to who we are. And we kind of go, oh, wait, who am I in all of this again? And so we start to get our own identity back in a different way as we get older. And I think it's a really beautiful time when looking at women in midlife, like we have decades of life ahead of us, but we also have decades of experience. And now we have more time. And so we can take that experience that we've had and really channel it into something that is really meaningful for us. I think we start to look at what are we leaving as a legacy? Maybe we've raised our kids and now we've done our jobs and whatever else. And now what are we going to leave this planet with when we go?
Yeah. Like, what's next, right? It's a,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah. So, what do you think keeps people unconsciously attached to old emotional patterns? And even when they are consciously there, they want to make change, but they are unconsciously attached to these patterns. Does that make sense what I just said?
It does, yeah, and we can kind of wiggle our way through it and
Yeah.
see if we can get to a response that makes sense. I think that people don't quite realize how stuck in old things that they are. And some of these old things that we're stuck in, sometimes we don't even recognize them. We don't even know that they're there anymore. They might be, I have found things from people before where they were like 1 or 2 years old. Like they may not know what that's all about, right? I'm able to tap into an energy, but they might not have the story around it. And when we have the story around it, we know, right? We're like, oh, this happened to me in the past. But
Yeah.
sometimes things happened that we can't quite put our fingers on. What was that? And when that's the case, how are you supposed to get rid of it? If you can't
Yeah.
quite name what it is and you can't figure it out on your own, how do you let it go? You've got to be able to see it to let it go. And that's kind of how I can help people is I can pull those things forward. I can find those things and bring them forward. And then we can see them, let them go, move on from it. And I think a lot of people get stuck in old patterns from that. Also, a lot of people don't want to feel things. Feelings are uncomfortable sometimes. It's just the nature of them. There's nothing wrong with that. But some people, it feels really scary to actually feel your emotions. And so people will refuse to feel them, maybe not consciously, maybe unconsciously. They push them down and kind of try to get away from them. But if you don't feel them, your body can't process them and it just holds on to them. So I think there's a
Yes.
lot of people holding on to stuff just because it feels really scary to actually feel it.
Absolutely. I had someone who coached me through we had an interaction and it tapped into something and I just started to cry and I'm like, I am so sorry. He's like, no, let it go, let it go. Like, don't stop yourself from feeling the emotion because when we trap that in our bodies, it's not good for our bodies.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it was just, it's not the first time that that's happened where I don't have a problem with crying, but it was like I'm having this meeting one on one, and I'm like, I don't know if that's a good time to be doing that, but yeah, I mean, he gave me some grace, and it was an amazing experience, and had some revelation there, so it was good. So yeah, so definitely letting go is part of the whole process.
Yeah. A lot of times, whenever I start a session with someone and they'll, what are we working on today? What are we looking at today? And they will be so overcome with emotion that there are a lot of tears and there is a challenge with even voicing it. Like they're just so in it. And by the end of a session, the goal is that they're neutral about it, that they can go, oh, yeah, that's just a thing that happened to me in the past. And they remember it. They know it happened. They haven't, like, going through the session doesn't make them forget about the whole thing. It's still there, but there is not the emotional reaction to it anymore. And that's what
Yeah,
we're really going for is neutralizing that
yeah,
emotional reaction.
yeah. So important. So important. So, how does the nervous system influence someone's ability to expand into the next chapter versus staying stuck in a familiar cycle?
So that familiar cycle might be fight or flight, right? And so a lot of times we get stuck in fight or flight. You know, a story that I heard once was that in the wild, like a gazelle in the savannah might get chased by a lion, right? And so they go into fight or flight, they fly, and once they are no longer in danger and the lion is gone and they didn't get eaten, they shake. Their body shakes.
Hmm.
It's shaking out all that energy. We don't do that. And we are getting in fight or flight over weird things. Like we might get into a fight or flight state over a movie we're watching, right?
Yeah.
It's not even
Yeah.
a situation that's happening to you. You are in no danger, and yet you are seeing it come in, and your body is processing it as though it's some kind of danger to you, which puts you in fight or flight. And then we're sitting there with it and we're holding on to it. A lot of times people don't even realize it. But also, it's the traffic will put you in fight or flight. The situations at work will put you in. There's so many things that we go through that put us into that state, and we don't process it in the same way as like an animal does. And so we just hold it, not knowing what to do.
Yeah.
Everything we're made of contains light. From the sun that feeds our world to the energy that flows within us. With LifeWave X39, we've found a way to put that light to work. With X39, we achieved something remarkable in the field of wellness and science that others could not. By utilizing LifeWave's unique patented technology, X39 uses light to elevate GHK-Cu, a copper peptide known to support overall health and wellness. Unlike traditional light therapy, X39 uses the body's own infrared light to naturally increase vitality. By gently stimulating the skin with light, our non-invasive, non-transdermal X39 patches help you conquer your active lifestyle and pave a new way to vibrant health. Becoming a powerhouse is easier than you think. It all starts with your body and a little help from light. Place one LifeWave X39 patch on the body. Apply the patch to clean, dry skin in the morning. Patches may be worn for up to 12 hours before discarding. Keep well hydrated while using this product. Harness your natural potential. Reclaim youthful energy. Live long, live well, live young with LifeWave X39. Be the light. LifeWave.
Yeah. Absolutely. So, first, here we go. So, for someone listening who feels disconnected from themselves, what would be the first grounded step you would recommend they take?
I think it's to spend some quiet time by yourself. And that actually touches a little bit on what we were just saying. People are having a hard time paying attention to what's going on around them when they want there's this need for constant stimulation now. So I think having some quiet time, and there will be a lot of people that will hear that and will be like, "Oh, I hate sitting in the quiet." And I'm not going to, that sounds awful. I'm not going to do that. But like, how else do you get to know yourself than just sitting with yourself and just spending time with yourself? So focusing in, of course, I love to be outside. I love to just go and actually one of my favorite things to do is to take photos of nature. And
Yes.
so when I'm doing that, it's like I'm out in nature for one. So you get all the energy from nature, which is
Yep.
really good for you. You get really quiet. And there's something about taking photos that makes me look more closely at the world around me. So because I'm composing an image, so I'm like kind of closing in on what the image is that I'm creating, and I'm noticing the details. I'm getting really mindful by doing that, but also doing it with silence, not
Hmm.
with a podcast in your ear, although this podcast is going to be amazing. Not with music. There's a lot of people that never turn the music off. And if somebody is not quite ready for like a daily meditation, then just spending a little bit of time outside and with no sounds, nobody else, no distractions, and just really noticing the things around you. Because when you get quiet, then you can start to feel the stuff coming up inside. And I think that's why a lot of people want to be distracted, is because they don't want to feel that stuff coming
Right.
up inside. I actually worked with a woman one day who didn't really feel like, when we went through our session, she was like, I don't know. She called me the next day and was like, I went to bed last night and all the feelings came through. But you know why all the feelings came through at bedtime? It's like the one time that people are quiet.
Quiet.
It's when everything stops around you, although there's plenty of people that go to bed with the TV on in the background, with something on, because they don't want to be alone with their thoughts and their feelings. But I think that's exactly what we need to happen, is to spend some time alone with those thoughts and feelings, because
Oh,
then you tap into the things.
yes, most definitely. And I was one of those folks that I didn't, I'm like, silence, what is that? Like, what is that? Because I mean, 23 years in clinical research, planes, trains, and automobiles. What is that silence thing? No, that's not going to work for me. But I have to say that once you start to do it and you do it consistently, it's like anything, right? You're not going to go to the gym today and do, 50 squats. Like, you have to discipline yourself enough to get there, right? And be patient with yourself. It's the same concept. You just start a little bit at a time, and then it just builds upon and builds upon and builds upon, and then you get to a point where you're like, wow, I really like this silence. And I like that I'm doing what I need to do in order to heal myself and bringing things to the surface. And yeah, is it uncomfortable? Yeah, but you know, I'm okay with this.
And you're also not going to go to the gym one time and be like, now I'm fit forever.
Exactly.
It's kind of like taking a shower every day, or going to the gym every day, or consistently eating healthy foods. It's a maintenance thing. You've got to keep doing it. You can't just do it once and then be good forever. It's about doing it again and just spending a little bit of time. And it might be that you, in the beginning, spend 5 minutes, right? Of course, I love meditation. So
I do
I
too.
suggest meditation to people. I know a lot of people aren't quite ready for that yet, but you can get there for sure. And yeah, it's consistent
I
over
love
time,
it.
little bits.
My favorite form of meditation is when the sun is out here. I like to sit in the sun and just close
Yeah.
my eyes and just, listen. Like, I love to listen to the birds, and you can hear, like, if you really just are in the present, you can hear the little rustling of the squirrels, and it's peaceful. It's peaceful.
And we need to spend more time in the world. We've got so much time that we're spending online.
Yes.
And there's lots of amazing things happening online. And of course, you want to
Mhm.
spend time there, but we've got to spend time in the world, physically in our bodies.
Yes, and interacting. If you see, a lot of people are like this because they're so used to doing this, right? Like,
Yeah.
engaging folks, right?
Yeah.
That's what it's all about. I went for a walk yesterday and crossed paths with a few people that were like that, and I'm like, hello, hello, and they're just like, hi, like, somebody
Yeah.
actually said hello. I think if we did more of that, uh, you know, we do more of that, we get on the track, right? People start to, okay. You never know. You never know what seed you can plant. I always say that.
Yeah. Yeah. And
So,
we need that connection as human beings. Like, that connection
absolutely.
is so important.
It truly is. It truly is. So you speak about personal empowerment. What does sovereignty actually look like in the day-to-day life? When you get on this path, you're implementing these things that we're talking about, meditation, being in the present, maybe you're journaling, maybe you're just observing your thoughts, whatever it may be. What does sovereignty and embodiment actually look like from a day-to-day perspective?
So to me, it's partly about having the capacity to go through the challenges of life. So life is always going to be challenging. It's not going to stop being challenging. I've had big challenges come up and then it feels like, okay, finally I got over that. But there's always something behind it. So there's always going to be another situation behind it. And it's about having the capacity to move through that in a way that still feels really balanced, where you still feel like you are able to maintain everything, and it's holding on to your relationships because, of course, we don't live life in a bubble either. We live life with people. So I sometimes, when I think of sovereignty, I'm thinking of myself, right? But it's kind of being able to have totally love the word control, but kind of as having control of yourself amidst all the other things going on. And I think there's a lot of people that are kind of out of control there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that is the goal. The goal is to embody that emotional intelligence of being in control of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions. And some people are doing a great job, and some folks are. It's challenging, and that's okay. It's okay. Everybody's right where they need to be, but it's just like learning how to get to that point. And then when those hard things happen, then you're not having a meltdown. You're able to pivot. I call it pivot. It's just something that I don't know, I'm ex-military. So I think about, pivoting left, right. And so just pivoting in life, and you come up against an obstacle or a situation, because that's life. Life's always going to throw you curveballs. And how are you going to handle that? If the more in control of your thoughts, feelings, and emotions, the better I think that you can deal with those circumstances when they come. And that's the thing. They're circumstances. They're temporary.
Yeah.
And we don't think I think folks don't really grasp that all circumstances are temporary,
Hmm.
and they're meant to be a an opportunity to learn. Even when somebody is when somebody's short with you or they're not nice to you, it's an opportunity for you to choose, okay, am I going to go down that path or are they going to see the German come out of me, or are we going to be, of sound mind and body, So yeah,
And sovereignty is you having the ability to decide how you act in that moment. It's having that I guess I am using the word control, but having
yeah, well, it
control over
is. Yeah.
yourself to
Yeah.
react to something, to respond to something versus just this reaction that comes from within that you didn't really want to do.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I've been playing with an idea lately about people talk about self care and like, oh, you've got to fill your cup, right? You got to take care of yourself, fill your cup because you can't pour from an empty cup. But I have the idea that there's a second cup. And the second cup is the one that the world is pouring into. Every challenge that you have is pouring into that cup. And this is how much capacity you have. And if you don't empty that, then one little drop is going to start it spilling over. And when you have big things happen, they start filling that capacity really fast, right? But the little annoyances, the little stresses of every day, they take some of that capacity too. And I feel like the work that I do is helping people to empty that cup so that you have more capacity to handle the situations that will inevitably arise in life.
Oh, yes. I have a friend she gets very challenged in traffic. She's like, I can't take it. And and I said, well, instead of blowing your stack and getting yourself upset, because you're getting yourself upset, you're the one that's feeling all of that, right? Whatever comes up at that time, frustration, anger. instead of feeling that, like, connect with your breath. When we connect with our breath, we slow things down enough where we're not in that fight or flight. Like, oh, this person just did that. And then also trying to have a little bit of compassion and understanding that people are distracted. There's a lot going on, and we don't know what that person's going through. Maybe they're on the way to the hospital. Maybe they have a loved one that's sick. So if we can be a little bit more mindful of that, that it's not just about us, and it's not just about us in a hurry to get home, right? What is that? In a hurry to do, like, why? Right? What are you in a hurry for?
We're always in a hurry.
I
In a
know.
hurry to hurry up and get through this so that we can hurry up and get through that.
Hurry up and go nowhere.
Yeah.
You're in a hurry to go nowhere. I always say that because and that's another military thing. You're in a hurry to go nowhere. Hurry up and wait, right? It's like hurry up, get there, wait. But yeah, the dilemmas of humanity on a day-to-day basis. I mean, come
Yeah.
on,
But you don't want to wish your life away. You don't want to hurry your whole life through because, gosh, it goes so fast anyway.
It sure does. It sure does. Lately I've been taking inventory of my life, and I'm like just, when you do that and you look at your life and the things that you've done and the things that you've accomplished, like, it's a pretty cool thing to just do that. And I mean that collectively for anyone, like things that you've gotten yourself through, giving yourself a little bit of grace that, man, you did it. You did it. And life can be a blast at times, but it can sure be a challenge at times. And
Yeah.
in those times when it is challenging, if we can just give ourselves a little bit of self-compassion and grace, we can embody that, then we can give that to others.
Yeah.
So how do you help your clients? Because there's a lot of this going on. So, how do you help your clients discern between fear based thoughts and intuitive guidance?
So if the fear-based thoughts are perpetual, if you're always having them, if you're thinking of worst case scenarios all the time, then that's like a true fear. Sometimes though, I think the thing that you fear, that there's a little piece of your intuition there that's leaning you in. So sometimes I think you actually need to lean into fear a
Hmm.
little bit. The thing you fear might be the thing that you need to do.
Yeah.
And I think that discernment is really important, isn't it? You have to decide, like, is it that, have I created this monster of a thing that I keep fearing and I won't do it because I keep feeling afraid of it? Or is the fear there because there's actually a danger, right? Is there actually a danger in this situation? Most of the time we're making it up.
Most absolutely. Or it's been
Yeah. What is the danger? Is the danger that I'm going to come on this podcast with you and say something that I feel like is kind of stupid? I mean, maybe that happens, right? And then what? And
I
then
say
what?
stupid
What
things all
happens
the
about
time.
that? Like, is that actually something to be afraid of? Is there actually something bad that's going to happen from that? No. So if it happens like that, that's okay. Well,
Yeah.
that's the kind of fear to lean into, right?
Yes. And it's wild that you say that, and you brought up the podcast, because when I started doing this, I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I was like called to do it, kept being called to do it. And I really, really resisted it and did it for a little bit and was very inconsistent with it, because I think that I was like, nobody's, self-limiting beliefs, obviously, with that. But or if I'm going to say something, what if I say something stupid? And now it's like, I just don't even, I don't care. Sometimes I fumble on my words. It is what it is.
That's human.
Sometimes when I'm asking a question, I'm like, that doesn't make sense in the middle of the question. And I try to like recover, and it just happens, So it's like, you just have to have a little bit of grace with that self grace, and, understand that I'm learning. I'm always learning, right? I'm a one woman show over here. I edit these podcasts. So I watch these podcasts, right? And, I'm living it as we're recording right now. But when I'm rewatching it, I'm just like, dang, man, that is awesome. Like it's such a cool thing because when we're in it, we're like, it's that, did I say something wrong or was I inaccurate or whatever? And it's like, you can always, I just did a podcast last Thursday with Alex Puhol, and he was like, I said Yeshua, but I meant to say Yahweh. And I was like, no problem. I'll pop that into the intro because I record the intros for each guest. I record these before I edit and I pop them in there in my little editing application that I use. And I'm like, no problem. I'll let him know when you get to that point, this is what he really meant to say. And it is what it is. You can always recover, we'll say recover or clarify always. So
I think
I've
too,
gotten better with that.
yeah,
And the whole thing about being on camera, right? That I've gotten better with because I'm like, I don't really like it. I'd rather just do an audio. No, I think it's best to do a video because people can, you know,
they
that's the whole
connect
thing. There's
more.
a connection there. It's not
Yeah,
just the voice. It's the voice. It's the person. It's the emotions, that those micro expressions that
yeah.
happen, all of that. And it's meaningful. So yeah.
I think in the age that we're in right now of AI, where things are hyper perfect, I
Yes.
think that we're going to start to appreciate the imperfections of humans
Yeah.
even more. And I think that that's something we want to see. We don't need everything to be perfect. And if everything outside of you looks perfect, then how are you going to show up as the imperfect being that you are? Because
Right.
we are all imperfect. And
Big
sometimes when we
time.
see other people being imperfect, oh, we're like, oh, thank goodness. Right? Like now I feel better.
Yeah. It's funny that you say that because you also, it's like, okay, well, and I say this, I think I say this on every podcast, like, I can't possibly know everything. There's so much out there, right? And your interpretation of what you've learned, right? And the application of it and the embodiment of it is so much different than what my perspective would be. So to hear your perspective, it's like, whoa, I never even thought of it like that. And then if I want to take notes, I'm over here. I'm always taking notes when I'm on these podcasts because I'm like learning something every day. And I can take a note and I'm like, I need to implement that.
Yeah,
I can't tell you how many I've written down something and I've implemented it into my whatever it may be. Perhaps it's, it could be my podcast form, right? That I'm gonna implement this. Or there's someone shared with me where you can it's like a platform where you can put your podcast on. And you can do it like once a week. They'll let you put podcasts on there, and then it's a way of advertising the podcast. And it's like, I would never know there's so much out, it's infinite.
yeah,
And
yeah,
it's like, that's what this podcast is all about. It's about harnessing the shift in consciousness, harnessing the shift in mindset, but also the co-creation with other folks, right? That bring their wisdom on here, talk about their lived experience and what they're doing for the people that they serve. And the listeners can take that information, integrate it. It's an amazing concept. It really truly is.
totally.
I can't say that I didn't, I'm not the only one that's doing it, right? But it's such an amazing concept of it. And no, I love it because we can sit here and read books all day, right? But when we can really see a perspective of something, maybe go read the book and then have our own perspective, it's just awesome.
Well, and there's one thing to just read words, but if you don't actually put something into action from those words,
Right,
then what was it? It was just
right,
information.
right. And I think everybody has their own special jam, right? That they can give their own perspective on things, and it's what works for one person may not work for the other, but at the end of the day, you take what works and you apply it. So it's a
Yeah.
good. So yeah. So if someone is standing at the edge of change and they feel here we're going to talk about fear again. They're afraid to take that leap. What would you say to them right now?
Is it going to get easier if you wait? Do you really, really, truly want to do it? If you're afraid, if you're standing at the edge of some kind of big thing and you're afraid, you probably really want to do it. Because if you didn't really want to do it, you wouldn't really care. You wouldn't care at all.
Right.
There would be no reason for fear. You'd be like, why would I do that?
Yeah.
If you're
Yeah.
afraid, it's something that you want to do. And will it get easier a year from now?
Yeah.
Probably it will get harder
Mm-hmm.
because you will have been standing there looking at it for so long that you will have made it this huge mountain. And the quicker you take action on it, the easier it is going to be. The quicker you'll learn. If you wait for a year and then you look back, you'll be like, oh, I could be so far ahead by now.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. It's like fear. There's power in fear. You can really harness fear and turn it into something that like is just so powerful. And I think it's taken me a minute to get here to say that because I've too done that where I'm like, wait, in
Me
that
too.
whole
Yeah.
in the waiting room of life. And yeah, I'm starting to come to the realizations this week. I'm like, you know what? Yeah, it's time for that. And it's time for this too. So it's like, there is a power in fear. And
Yeah.
it's just you have to wrap it differently.
Yeah.
Definitely. So Lesley, you're a co-author and publisher of the 5th anniversary edition of The Game of Life and How to Play It. Can you share a little bit more about the information that's in this book? Yeah.
I found this book during one of the most challenging points in my life. My partner had been given 6 to 9 months to live. He had gone into the hospital, and when he was sent home, they kind of told him he needed to do whatever he needed to do and do it quick. And we didn't really accept that, but also we made a lot of changes in life. So we were kind of like, clearly, something's got to change. We had been traveling at that point in time full time for nearly 5 years. And so we moved back to my home state near my family. And we did that with the idea that when the inevitable that we thought might happened, I would have a support system. But he started going on his own healing journey. And when we got into this house, when we first got here, I found this book. I found a reading of it on YouTube and I started listening to it, and I listened to it over and over and over and over again. And it just made me feel like hopeful. It made me feel like something else was possible. And it made me feel a little bit like not alone. I wouldn't say that I felt totally alone, but I had kind of, because of all the things we were going from, we had kind of pulled into our family a little bit more and stopped, looking at social media and kind of stopped doing a lot of things outside of us as we tried to figure out what was next, what was happening. And so I just would listen to this book over and over again. And it was so beautiful. It wasn't even new information to me. A lot of the information in it was stuff I was already looking at. And I think that's part of why it struck me so much, is because Florence Scovel Shinn, she's the one who wrote it, 100 years ago, back in 1925. And she has this way of putting things so simply. It is just, it's information that you've probably already heard before. It's really, really good, solid wisdom, but also really basic. And she just has this simple way of putting it. And I just loved, taking it in. And I can also see how I made changes by listening to it. I started making changes to the way that I thought, to the way that I was acting. And as I'm going through it again right now. I go through the book over and over again. It's part of why I created my own version, because I created this version for me. I wanted a large version that had big margins so that I could write in it. And then I added a lot of the activities that I did to it. I knew that I would be going through it over and over and over again throughout my life. This is like, it has become this little touch point in my life. So it's been 5 years since I found the book. I have no idea how many times I have read it or listened to it at this point in time. But when I realized, well, we made changes. He, lived past 6 to 9 months. It's been 5 years since he got that
Amazing.
diagnosis. He's doing great.
It's amazing.
And we started making plans for the future again, because there's a point where when you get something like that to happen, that you kind of pause, and it's you're very in the moment of just what's happening right now, because you just don't know what's coming in the future. So now we've
Right.
started to make plans for the future again. And when we hit 2025, gosh, it's the 100-year anniversary of this book that I love so much. And it felt like my way of honoring this book that had come to mean a lot to me, to make my own version of it, and hopefully to share it with a lot of people. And I have shared it with a lot of people, and I've gotten great feedback from people that are actually using my version, that they've listened to the audio. They might have other versions too. I have another version of it too, but they have been sharing feedback with me that they really love my version of it, that it's got the little embodiment practices, it's got the journaling prompts, and they love the wide margins too. And I'm like, yay, I knew it.
And so the book, let me look here because, get the book. I'm going to put the website up for the book because it's on Amazon, right? I need to
Yeah,
get this book.
you do. You need to
I
get the
do.
book.
So, I'm going to put this up so everyone can see that you can go onto Amazon, and it's also on your website too. So
Yeah,
if folks just pause your whatever you're on watching this, go ahead and pause it and write that down. But you can also go to her website, lesliechristine.com. And I love your website.
thanks.
It really, I love it. Living the game of life. And you have some pictures here in Arkansas. It's such a beautiful website. It really is. It's simple, but it's so beautiful.
Thank
So,
you.
and I love green. Green's one of my favorite colors.
And
So
those would
Leslie,
be all those pictures that I go out and take whenever I'm spending
yes,
my time out in
yes.
nature.
So lesliechristine.com, and you can just go up in the right-hand corner. Right-hand corner, and it's under programs and products. So if folks want to follow you on social media, where can they follow you?
So I'm in all the basic places on Facebook,
Perfect.
LinkedIn, Instagram. I also have a Substack that I write. My Substack is, you can find everything with Lesley Christine, but my Substack is called Living the Game of Life. It still can be found with Lesley Christine, but that's the name of it. And then I also have a school community that is Living the Game of Life.
Oh, how do you like school? Because I've heard a lot of good things about school.
I love it.
Really?
Yeah, I was finding that I am in some Facebook groups, and Facebook groups have been great over the years. But what happens when I go to Facebook is that I get met with things immediately, and I get sucked into weird stuff that I'm not even following, and I don't even know. I will go there for a specific reason, and then 30 minutes later, an hour later, I'm like, what am I doing? And I close the app out. And as soon as I close that app out, I go, I was going to this very specific place, except I didn't make it there. Like, I opened the door and there was all this stuff that greeted me, and it was very distracting. And so I have really gotten to where I'm not wanting to be on Facebook a whole lot. And I started the community over on school, and it is so fantastic because there's tons of communities over there. So you can have a lot of communities. What I'm
Yeah.
finding that is so neat is that I have made friends over there. We're in many communities together. So there are lots of people where it's like, oh yeah, they're in this community and this, we're in a lot of the same communities together. And what ends up happening is it feels like it's just a matter of who's starting the conversation and what the conversation is about.
Great.
But you can go to specifically to the community and you see everything that happened in there on the feed. You don't get served up only 20% of it.
Right.
You actually see all the things in there and they're really easy. And when you're in a community, that's it. You're in just the community
And you're
and
not
you see the
getting all
stuff
the
going on there.
outside noise.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I started a Facebook group and yeah, the Facebook thing, like lately, it's too much. So
Yeah.
I've been like, go to school, go to school. And it's like, okay, yeah. I get this,
Yeah.
like, it's like my intuition saying, go to school, go to school. And I'm like, yeah.
Do
I'm
it.
getting there, man. Give me a
My
chance.
community over there is free and I will be adding paid tiers really soon, like within the next month or so. But at the moment, everything is free. And what's really fun is we're having a weekly live meeting and we meet for like an hour and a half live and we are going chapter by chapter through the book. All the replays are available for everybody and we've got all the chatter about it can happen in the community. But we actually meet. I love having live calls where I can actually talk to people and connect with people. And so
Yeah.
we're meeting. And the great thing about the calls is that it doesn't matter if you've actually read the book. It's like going to a workshop every week. Like you'll still get something out of it. But if you are reading along with us, you'll get that much more.
Yeah.
It'll
Yeah.
just intensify all the things that you're reading. But you could totally show up and enjoy the call without having read the book. You won't miss out on anything, but it will just make everything that much more.
And your Substack is under the blog, which is also in the right-hand corner right-hand corner of your website. And that goes straight to your Substack.
Yeah.
Yeah. I have a Substack too. I do like Substack. It's getting a lot. I think it's getting, there's more traffic, which is good, I think. And because, there's always like a gun. Like I said before, like everybody has a little bit of wisdom that they can throw into the mix. So yeah, I'm going to have to check out that school. I'm going to put that down here and get over there and do that. Cause yeah, I kind of agree with the Facebook. I tend to get sucked into it. And then it's like an hour, 2 hours later, it's like you're going,
It's almost like I need to write down why I'm going to go there before I
right,
go
right.
and then keep it right in front of my face so that I don't end up in some kind of weird place, looking at things that I have no business looking at right then.
Will say that when you get on Facebook, when you're on the desktop, that seems to help a lot with that whole thing. It's like when it comes to the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. Just get rid of all that stuff on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm getting to the point where it's like my intuition is saying, take the apps off the phone. And it's like, okay,
Yeah.
take the apps off the phone. Let me add that to the list to do, right?
You know what? I delete them regularly.
Yeah.
I'll be like, okay, that's it. I got it. And then I'll put them back on at some point, but I'm pretty quick to delete them now whenever I start to get really bad distracted.
Yeah. Yeah. It can be very distracting. There's a lot going on, and from my perspective, I think folks need just to do a little detox, a little digital
Yes.
detox will do you good.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. Yeah. The nervous system doesn't really care for all of that stuff. So
Yeah,
yeah.
we keep ourselves just stimulated
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah. Truly do. Truly do. Well, Lesley, do you have anything else you'd like to say to the listeners?
Come and find me. Come and join my group. My group is fantastic. I'm like loving it. I'm loving the connection that we have in there and going through the book. And then, I do offer free like little complimentary sessions, like little short sessions so that people can try out my work and
Yeah.
see what it does for them. I have found in many instances that releasing simply one emotion has brought people just sometimes huge relief.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's an opportunity to serve, right? Yeah. It really truly is. I've so enjoyed you being on here. Thank you so much for coming on to Harness the Shift and sharing your wisdom with our listeners. And we definitely have to have you back again. We'll pick a topic and fly with it and see what happens. So, but I do appreciate you coming on. Thank you so much. It's been such a pleasure having you on.
Thanks for having me.
And
It was
I think
great.
I think it's time for me to get on school. So look at me coming over there here soon.
Yeah, come on over and you can come and check everything out and I'll show you how it all works.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Take care. Thank you, everybody, for listening. This is a wrap. So until next time, keep harnessing the shift. Thank you for dialing in and listening to Harness the Shift podcast. I'm Jay, your host. I spent 23 years in clinical research and have now transitioned into guiding leaders, creators, and change makers through coaching and consulting. I also am a brand partner with LifeWave, and more information about the research and this work is available in the Central Hub link in my bio. During these conversations, my guests share how you can connect with them. All their details are in the podcast description. I'd love your help growing this podcast. If this episode resonated with you, please share it with anyone who may benefit. And make sure to subscribe and follow on YouTube, Spotify, and soon Apple Podcasts under Harness the Shift. You can also stay connected with me on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok at Harness the Shift with Jay, and follow my long-form writings on LinkedIn and Substack at Harness the Shift with Jay. The podcast has its own Instagram channel, which is Harness the Shift Podcast. Everything I mention, coaching, retreats, guest info, and offerings is centralized in the Central Hub, Harness the Shift with Jay. Stay rooted in the light. We're all aligned by design, and together we're harnessing the shift.